Hello, gorgeous human. Welcome to this video. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to surrender when you have an overthinking mind, when you have a very logical mind, and when you have a mind that is always like thinking things and overthinking. Now, the very first thing is that when you have an overthinking mind, it's very challenging for you to surrender. And this is because surrender require you letting go and not being in control and not analyzing and not being logical. So it's almost like surrender require you to let go of this superpower that you have, which is overthinking. Now, the reason when I say superpower is that the first thing for you to understand if you really want to surrender is that you need to embrace your overthinking brain. Your overthinking brain is actually your superpower and something that you should be grateful and thankful for and not see as a burden, right? So your analytical mind makes it possible for you to analyze things, for you to see things in the way that other people do not see them, and for you to actually really look at reasons why, in fact, and all of that. But that being good and that being said, your overthinking and analytical mind can also be your hindrance to following your intuition or the leading of the spirit or becoming the best version of yourself and actually walking in faith and not really wanting to have everything figured out. Your analytical mind can literally be a hindrance, a stumbling block that holds you back from so many things in your life, from experiencing like the highest version of self, from taking risk, from following God's leading in your heart, and from literally being and unleashing your full potential. So I want you to see it from today that this and overthinking and analytical mind, my logic is my power, but it's power that when I do not manage it, it can ruin my life. So you want to see is like everything that God is created and every gift is powerful. And this mind that you have is your power tool. However, if you do not know how to control it, if you do not know how to manage it, and if you do not know how to get your mind under control, this mind of yours is literally going to lead you down the wrong path. And this mind of yours is actually going to stop you from becoming the very thing that you want to be and having that which God has for you. So your mind is a superpower, and what you need to learn is how to slow it down and how to manage it and how and when to be led by the logic and overthink things and how and when to let go and surrender. So on the other side, we have surrender. Surrender is the ability to let go of control, the ability to lean back, and the ability to allow yourself to be supported and held by another person, thing, or God. So for example, I'm sitting on the chair and right now, sitting up straight, I have not fully surrendered, right? When I fully surrender to this chair, it's like this. Like I'm fully surrendered and I let go of total control and I no longer have any control. So while surrender is also a very good thing, when we don't know how to surrender and how to apply surrender, it can actually lead us to laziness, which is what most people confuse a time for surrender, like just sitting back and doing nothing and thinking that, okay, this is me surrendering. But surrendering is more than that and is deeper than that. So what is surrender again? And how can you surrender as someone who has an overthinking mind and someone who is very logical and someone who is very analytical, like you like the fact, you want to go for the research, you want to see the evidence, you want everything to be so clear and all the details in order to believe this thing and in order to go in this direction. Now, again, that your brain is good. It's a good thing. Thank God for that. So the very first thing that you want to understand is that you can't trust your brain. Now, the reason why I say you can't trust your brain is because your brain and your psyche is a collection of information and experiences that you've had from the past. Now, I'm going to explain this from a very scientific and spiritual standpoint, because as most of you know, I'm a coach, an inner work coach, so leadership and business coach. And I deal a lot with psychology, and I'm a trauma healer. I'm a spiritual psychologist. So I understand psychology and I understand spiritual concepts. So you have to understand that you can't trust your brain. Your brain is a collection of data, right? You being a very analytical person, I know you're going to understand this. So your brain is literally like a computer that has a memory, and everything that you compute and everything that you see, you hear, everything that you take in using your five senses is what your brain stores, and it's what it gives back to you as information, and all of that, right? So literally, this means that your brain is very outwardly focused. And when you are being led and you're very logical, you have a very outward life, and your life is very driven by the things that are going on in the surrounding. Your life is very outward, and you are living a life from outside in instead of living a life from inside out. So when you have a life that you're living from outside in, you literally become the effect of everything that is going on the outside. This means that you base your decision, you base your actions, you base your habit, and you base your everything based on what is coming from the outside on the inside, right? So this means that you are mind-led. So how then can you begin to little by little surrender to in order to detach and disconnect from this overthinking mind? The very first thing is that you have to understand that you have to start living life from inside in, which is the goal. If you want to surrender, you must be connected, first of all, to your heart center, which is like your intuition or your spirit, so that God's spirit can communicate with your spirit, because God's spirit is one with your spirit. He lives in us through our spirit, and in our spirit, he can communicate to and direct your life from that heart place instead from the head place. So the way you surrender as someone who is overthinking and has a very reactive mind is that you, first of all, learn to understand that you can't trust your mind all the time. And you don't need all the facts, because every fact and every information that you need is external. And anything and every fact that is external can't be trusted, because it is something that has been manipulated by someone, something, or created by someone, something, somewhere, somehow. But when you are leading from your heart, this is where you're disconnected from the information that is coming from the outside, and you're starting to live your life based on who you are on the inside, and you're taking information from God, from source, the true source of all information that is laid in your spirit and in your heart, and you're leading and living from this heart place. So you live from this heart place and you live outside. So that way now you can trust those information, because this information has not been filtered by another person's mind, research, or whatever, but it's coming directly from source. So how you surrender is, one, know that you can't trust your mind, and you can't even trust your research. You can't trust the logic. You can't trust all the thing. And most importantly, you can't trust your brain, because your brain is coming, giving you simply what it has taken inside through touch, hearing, taste, and all our five senses, right? So the second thing is that if you want to learn on how to actually calm the overthinking mind, is that you need to slow down. You need to slow down, and slowing down the brain, learning to slow down the brain literally means that you need to learn how to calm your overthinking mind and not always get anxious and be in your mind. Because the reason why you have an overthinking mind and you can't really surrender is because you're so disconnected from your body, you're so disconnected from your heart, and you're so disconnected from your spirit and who you are. And most of the time, we will say you are living in survival mode. So survival mode is literally the state of mind we get into when we think that there is danger, there's something chasing us, there's someone chasing us, or it's like we are trying to stay alive. Now, picture survival mode as when our ancestors were in the desert or in walking on earth, and they didn't have homes, and they were living together with animals, and they always had to make sure that they are safe and they are alive, because they didn't know when the next cheetah or animal was going to come after them and chase them and hunt them down or something. So when you are in the overthinking, you are literally in the state of survival. And the survivor brain, the goal of the survivor brain is to stay alive. So the survivor brain can't create from inside. The survivor brain is always looking at, how can I stay alive? How can I stay alive? And it's always very active. So in order for you to disconnect from the survivor brain, you want to understand that you got in that survivor brain, first of all, somewhere in your past, and hope potentially in your childhood. So when you were growing up, something happened in your past, something that was termed traumatic, right? And I always say trauma is not something that happened that was so big and that was so devastating, like a car accident. Trauma can simply be you not having food to eat. Trauma can be your mom not picking you up from school. Trauma can be someone telling you, oh, you look fat. Trauma could be bullying. Trauma could be anything and every little thing. So something happened in your childhood that set you in that survival brain. And something happened that got you out of the state of safety where you actually felt safe, and got you into the state where you didn't feel safe. You were in an unsafe state. So being in an unsafe state means that you were in a state where you didn't feel like you were taken care of, you were protected, you were provided for, and you were supported, right? And as a result, because you were not safe, you didn't feel safe, lack of safety, you got in that survival mode, which is the action brain, in order to try to stay alive. So something actually threatened your existence, and that thing could be anything, abuse, whatsoever, anything. So when that happens, your brain is always goes into like this state of overthinking, which is trying to analyze everything, put logic to everything. And in order, just because your brain doesn't, because you don't feel safe. And because you feel this lack of safety, you are in this mood of, oh, I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to analyze everything just so that I feel safe. But what you want to understand is that no matter how you analyze things, you may never feel safe. And being in that overthinking mind and having a brain that is running is not what is going to bring you safety, because true safety comes from God. So the very first thing is that you are going to have to understand that you are safe right now, wherever you are. You are safe and you are protected. You are held and you are loved. You're loved by the divine. You're loved by God. You're protected by God. And you're held by God. And you're not alone. So you don't have to always try to make sure that things are right and always try to make sure that you have all the details and all the answer before moving on, because that is just showing you that you are in a state of fear. You're in a state where you don't feel safe. So you're trying to get all this information to be safe, but you are safe in the hands of God. And even when you are, this is the exercise you can apply when you are in a situation where you feel like, oh, I'm overthinking now. Maybe you want to make a decision, you want to buy something, or you're like, I'm overthinking. The highest you can do is taking a deep breath, calm down and say, I am safe. I am safe because even if I make this purchase and it turns out to be the wrong one, God is going to redeem me, and God is for me, and God sees, and God is going to reroute me. So that's the first thing. You have to start lean on God for safety and understand that you are safe wherever you are right now. You don't have to have that shield up, because the overthinking is just a shield mechanism that you have up to keep yourself safe. You don't have to keep yourself safe. You don't have to try to stop negative things from happening to you, because God got you, and God loves you. And even if the negative things come, God is going to help you. And another thing you want to look at is, all this while you've been trying to stop yourself from with the overthinking, from making mistake and from failing and from doing all of these things. But has it worked? Has it worked? Or somehow you have still made mistakes, you've still failed, things have still gone the way you didn't want them to go. So because things have still gone that way, you can as well choose to lean on God and say, God, you know what? I let go. I lean on you. I know you know the answer. I know I don't know the answer, all the answers, but I surrender to you, and I know you've got me. Even if I make a mistake, you're going to reroute me, and I choose to trust you. I choose to be vulnerable and lean on you. I choose right now to not be in control and not try to stop myself, because I know you've got my back. So that is the first thing that you're going to do.